Welcome to Retirement with Jim. So today, gratitude, happiness, all in retirement. So before we get started, if you like my channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button, helps my channel grow. And feel free to leave comments. Love to hear from you. So let's get started. So gratitude. I can't say enough about how happy and grateful I am that I have retired. It's really turned out so much better just being retired than I ever could have imagined. First and foremost, I don't have to work, and wow, what a nice thing that is, and until you don't work and you can just know what that freedom feels like, yeah, you're missing out. I tell you, if you can retire, you should. You should, just simply because enjoy your life. You will be so much happier knowing that your life is your own. What you do is your own. My wife and I'm grateful for my wife. We really enjoy, our time together, and it's really been a nice thing. We recently took a trip to Vegas. Don't worry, didn't gamble away all our money. But, it kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, it was a spur of the moment to a degree. Thought about it. My wife started looking up some airline tickets and see what it would cost. And because we've always driven a lot in the past to Vegas, gone there a number of times. And through some research, she was able to find some really cheap, tickets. I think it was $72. One way. It was like $150 round trip thereabouts, which is pretty reasonable. And so as we booked that trip, we ended up getting some stays at the hotel for free. Just had to pay the resort fee, so it wasn't completely free. But what we have learned in a trip like that is we can go and have a good time and stay, and it not necessarily cost you a lot of money. You can really, with a little bit of research and a little bit of digging in there, you can find yourself some really good deals. We saw a show while we were there. We did do some gambling but enjoyed our stay in general. And one of the things that was enjoyable was we found a way to kind of beat the airlines at their own game. They they put fees on everything. So we thought about previous trips and we said, what, when we go, how much stuff you pack? We end up packing more, from a clothes standpoint, than you ever really need. You start thinking about some of your trips like that. You're like, how much of it did I really use? So we're going to just do one carry-on. And then after we thought about it, we kind of looked at it. We got kind of the cheaper seats, and so you're not guaranteed you're like in the last group, so from a boarding standpoint, could you be out of overhead space? Now that carry-on gets tagged and put down below, kind of, okay, then they charge you a fee for all that. We just started thinking about what they do. So if you don't pick your own seat, okay, you get what you get, but in terms of cost, it was smart because we just each did a carry-on. She got a couple of small bags from Amazon, and we were able to fit everything into our bags quite easily. Do the military roll all your clothes up, and it takes up less space. And, so anyway, it was a breeze. And throw your bag, it fits underneath the seat in front of you, and there you go. You are good to go. Not only are you not claiming luggage, it's kind of faster in and out of the plane for yourself. So it was kind of a fun little game of let's avoid the fees and let's see what we can do to make this as cheap as possible, but enjoy it. And it turned out really nicely. So and the reason I bring that up is just simply it was a spur of the moment thing. And if you're not retired, you have to work and you have other obligations, that you have to fulfill, and you quite often just can't go at the drop of a hat, And we were able to, no time flat. We were booked and we had an enjoyable time. Cost of a taxi and from there to the airport to the hotel and taxi, going home the same way. And we were kind of near the middle towards the north end of the strip, but able to get around quite easily. And, really enjoyed our stay there. But things to be grateful for is just, what the most is number one on the list is freedom. I am eternally grateful for the freedom to simply do what I want, when I want, where I want, and not worry about anything. You see more and more things, about the economy and how it's a struggle. Well, more and more people are also, if you crunch the numbers, you're kind of like, okay, do you need to do a part-time gig, and still retire? It's not a terrible thing. A lot more people are working part-time while they're retired just to keep things balanced and some money coming in, defer some of the cost, but simply get out of the rat race. Because most people that work a part-time job are doing it because they choose the hours they want. Maybe the job is completely different than what they did for a living. Nice to do something different. Nice to still be out and interact with people and get out and stay active, whether it's physically just making sure you are staying active and moving. They say, a lot about, talk about Alzheimer's and stuff. One of the biggest things about, something like Alzheimer's is you have to stay moving. You have to stay active. It is one of the biggest things that will help you stay away from that situation. I know when my mother became more and more inactive, her health greatly declined and sped up quite a bit, to speed up the end of her life. And she just wasn't as active, that's just the way it went. So I kind of feel like there's a lot of truth to that. So I am grateful for, my family, my kids. My kids are all grown, independent, on with their lives. Wonderful wife and the freedom of choice. I would tell you, if you can retire, do it. Do it now. You will not regret it. You will enjoy, what that aspect of retiring brings to your life. So with that, I'm going to tell you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.